If you were an individual that was hedging your bets that the chaotic nature of last season would be one that kind of diminished Saban's willingness to continue coaching, I have bad news for you because I think the opposite happened and we gotta talk about it. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from y'all. So hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Do you believe that Saban is close to retiring? And let me know why. Guys, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification. That way you don't miss any of my uploads as I do constant college football content. Player reviews, film analysis, general talk style videos like this, you name it, and I'd love to have you along for my journey to 5,000 subscribers within my first year of having a channel. If you enjoy the video, be sure to like and comment down below because that stuff really does go a long ways in helping content creators like myself get picked up by the YouTube algorithm. But with all that being said, let's talk about how I wouldn't be in the camp that is hoping Nick Saban is going to retire early. Because even though the COVID season last year was incredibly chaotic and it undoubtedly exhausted a lot of coaches, I don't think Nick Saban was one of them. And look, there was a camp of people within college football that thought once Saban broke Bear Bryant's record for national championships, getting his 7th, that would be it and he would ride off into the sunset. And though I don't agree with it, I don't think that that logic is bad, right? I mean, he did just become the greatest college football coach of all time. He broke the record. He has that. Anything now is just icing on the cake. So I don't think that that's bad logic thinking that he would retire after this, but it's not going to happen. And the reason it's not going to happen is because there were some things that happened both in this season and some things that are just Coach Saban. And Bama fans will know what I'm talking about. But let me talk about this season for a little bit. Because even though this season was chaotic, there was so much unknown. And a lot of people will hear me say this about the battle of the known versus the unknown, and that battle for the unknown is an exhausting battle. It is an exhausting battle because you can work tirelessly every day, and the day that you're supposed to get your cheddar, it's gone, right? You can work as hard as you want, and it be for nothing, and that was the season we just had. Now, Alabama was incredibly lucky. They got to play every game they had scheduled, and for those of you that knew, last season, Saban had 2 scares with COVID, and both of them, I thought that he was incredibly introspective when he talked about it afterwards, to a point where Saban is always an incredibly thoughtful guy. If you listen to him talk, if you just listen to him, he is a deeply thoughtful person. But this level of introspectiveness was something that I haven't heard from Saban in quite some time. And I think that he really took a deep dive into who he was as a person at his age and came to a realization. When he wasn't coaching college football, he wasn't happy. And he even talked about this, that he didn't know what to do. So Saban understands this reality, right? That he's happy doing what he loves to do. He's making great money, and he is now the greatest college football coach of all time. And oh yeah, check the back burners. He's got Bryce Young, an incredibly loaded running back room, an incredibly loaded receiver room, just signed the greatest offensive line class of all time, has an incredible rotation at the defensive front, just nabbing a 5-star, and being in the top 10 for Walter Nolan, who is really one of the only prospects in the nation that could push Quinn Ewers for that #1 rating in the class of 2022. That's how good he is. I mean, we're talking about a defensive tackle that when it's all said and done could get a rating of 1.0 by 24/7 Sports. That's who Saban's after. When you look at all that, and when you listen to Saban talk about how he felt lost not being able to coach, and that he felt restless, it kind of goes to something that Saban said a few years ago when he was asked about retirement. And his answer was, I will keep doing this for as long as A, I'm good at it, B, as long as I'm not a detriment to the university, and C, for as long as I feel like this is what I want to do and if I'm happy doing it. And that last part is what I mean when I say Saban was restless. Saban wasn't happy sitting around. Saban didn't know what to do because Saban isn't wired like that. He's not wired like most regular people. He's a full-on go. Remember, this is a man who, after he won the national championship, was asked, how do you feel? And he said, I just hope it didn't take away from my ability to recruit. He's not wired like us, and that's apparent. And so when he had the COVID scare and then inevitably got COVID, and thank goodness he was all right, he looked at this and he was very emotional when Alabama won the national championship. And I think part of that is because Saban realized the fragility of this whole thing, how fragile what his passion really is. And I think Saban realizes the fragility that he has, and he doesn't want to give it up. And why should he? He is continuously proving that his prime has not ended yet. And if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet against Alabama next year because they have a ton of talent. And if I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet that Saban is going to retire anytime soon. But the proverbial coals were stoked last season. And it's something that got him much more into this process again. And I think it honestly rejuvenated Saban. And that is a terrifying prospect. That's it. See ya.